What's up guys, Cloudie here, checking in from the America server and wishing you all a happy new year since we are in 2020 now, not just a new year, a new decade. And I figured what better way to start the new year than with a guide, and since I have seen some people ask about Trial of the Sky, we are gonna do that. So Trial of the Sky fighting Musama. Musama, is that the name? Musama, yeah. Okay. We have already unlocked it, so let's just get here and have a quick look at the skills. The basic description says that the Relic of the Sky creates a healing field which nullifies any damage the relic takes, dispels negative effects or cleanses them, and disrupts ranged heroes from healing. Okay? And these are deactivated when Misama is casting his Icon of the Sun, which is his nuke skill. And then this is the time when you need to destroy the relics themselves. There are some recommended heroes here, namely Naya, Zephyr, and the Net, which is okay. Now let's check the first skill, Solar Wave. This attacks anyone in a straight line, so it's an AoE attack, and it will reduce your mana by about 2 orbs. So this will be cast every 20 seconds, and this is the main damage that your entire team will be taking, not just your tank. And this can stack up pretty fast, actually. The second skill, which makes using melee units here really bad, is a Tempest Sand, which is like a sand storm that attacks 20 times, giving a stacking debuff that reduces damage, reduces defense on your tank or anyone in range. And this can stack up to 20 times. It can be cleansed during, but if it stacks up to 15 or above, you will get this Curse of the Sands, which greatly reduces your defense. And this cannot be cleansed or dispelled, which means that if you are hit by it, your tank will die. It's just how it goes. There are ways to go about it. I have tried dodge gear and it doesn't work. The boss probably just has a lot of accuracy. I couldn't dodge it. Now, one of the things you can do is that you run Roy, who can use his S2 to dodge all damage during its duration. And that works to some extent, but on higher levels, the buff from Roy is just not enough. And also the reflect damage, which works on your ranged heroes, really does hurt on the higher levels. It means that together with Solar Wave and the reflect damage from this one, unless you have very high unique treasures, you will probably die, because you cannot heal in between the nuke phases, so that's really annoying. Because of this, I recommend above 5 not to use a melee tank anymore. Go with a ranged tank. It will completely disable this skill and just make your life a lot more easier. You will not have random deaths on your ranged DPS, and you will not have to do with tanking this hell of a skill. So yeah, otherwise you would have to kind of time. If you are using like a Nia tank, you would probably need to time NS heal and just remove it mid-storm and then not get this debuff. But yeah, it's just too much hassle, I think. Icon of the Sun, this is his main nuke that happens. He starts generating like a giant ball of sand in above him, and then just throws it at you and you die if you have not destroyed the pillars in that time. So what you need to do is just nuke him with all the AoE you got when this skill is being channeled, and if you manage to destroy and all the 4 relics, then he will be knocked down, the skill doesn't activate, and you can deal a lot of damage to him. So this will be, I will show you in this in the kill video how this actually looks like. Guardian of Sekiranel, okay. So you cannot decrease his speed and his defense, and above 6 and on stage 6 and above he will also heal. It's strange because I have been running Zephyr thinking that his S3 reduces the damage, reduces the defense, and I'm pretty sure I've been dealing more damage with Zephyr in the team, so that's kinda odd. I'm not sure if this is... because sometimes these def reductions are a bit strange, like percentage wise doesn't work, but flat amount works. But the fear skill is actually a percentage skill, so I'm not quite sure. And finally, there is the Relic of the Sky. There are 4 of them, which generate this healing field that increases healing within the field, so in melee range, and disables it outside. They constantly cleanse themselves, and they do not take damage between the nuke phases. There are ways to go around this, namely by for the healing you need healing reduction effects such as Solar Stone if you have a melee unit, or Nia does have a debuff I believe, or archers do have the Mortal Wound perk, which is 50% less healing. Also, Pansirone's skill has a healing debuff, so there are ways to go around the healing from stage 6. There are no ways to go around the no healing outside the field, only by knocking him down during the Icon of the Sun and then healing up in that phase when you are dealing damage. And also you cannot damage these during um, the normal phases. Um, Strangely enough, at the start Musama will not take damage until the first knockdown, but after that he can be damaged, so you can kill him outside of this neutralized phase. It's just that before the first knockdown he doesn't take damage. Maybe that's so that you can just one-shot him with a Rodina or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, he can. This is basically all the skills he has. Let's just try run. I might die here, in which case I will just load another one where I'm actually killing him. But let's try and show you how this works. Basically, wow, 0 FPS. Okay. So yeah, basically we will stack Pansies and Crows nukes for the phase with the relics, and then try and not and do as much damage to him as we can in between. Now my Crow is built so that he has exactly enough mana to do his S1 before the mana burn. It just came out, and you see they are almost dead now, everyone. Now I'm queuing up his S1 once more, but I might have to cancel this, and I should actually use Anne. So sometimes the boss doesn't wait long enough to do his S1 once more. He did now, which is great. So now we just need to wait for the phase before we all die. Okay, here it comes. You see the big red warning. I do a Pansy S1, S2. Meanwhile, start channeling Crow skill and do the skill from Zephyr. And now we are just nuking. We should get around 76%. Yeah, that's what we got. Like, immediately we go Crow's S1. And then we wait to do it again. We will try and shield someone with Zephyr. He has some mana now, so that's all good. Nobody can heal, but I'm just keep casting with Anna. It just gives me a sort of rhythm to the fight. The boss should be coming up with the next nuke phase, so I'm activating the soul weapon of Crow. And oh god, please do not die. Actually, I made a mistake there, but let's see. So everyone nuking, boom, everyone dead. And now we do Pansy and Crow S3 and S2. And then we are back in the phase again. So boss is coming up. Zephyr didn't heal up to the max, so I hope his shield will give him some safety. We don't want him to die. Okay, 4 seconds on his skill. If you are running Crow, it's a pretty good measure for when the nuke phase is coming, because it's about the same cooldown. Here it is. So you see there was only a couple seconds cooldown between them. So oh, and Anna is not healing. Oh my god. That might be bad because he badly needs his help. So okay, we cast his shield on himself because everyone else should have the health. And we should be able to kill this close to the next phase. Probably not right on the next one. Gonna try and shield once more. And we have a couple seconds. Okay, the soul weapon is up again, which is great. I'm gonna do N, Q this, Q that, Q that. Okay, here comes the nuke phase. Oh my god, he had like no health left at all. Okay, well, he didn't die, but he should be now. So that's basically the kill. My damage can greatly vary. Sometimes Crow hits about 40 million DPS. Now it was a bit lower. Pansy is pretty consistent. So basically, this is how the fight looks like. Let's just show you the team. And what stats they have, what builds they have. So again, I'm not sure if Zephyr's S3 is actually working there. Try and test it, just to like record the run and see if it works or not. Yeah, I might do that in the future. Let's see who is wearing what and what they do. So we have Pansy here. She's wearing a full Manticore set with her UT1 because this increases the burst damage her S1 does, and this is what we need for this fight. We need to burst down the totems, otherwise we die. And she is wearing the Infernal Whip because she is basically a support DPS here, although she does a lot of damage herself. That's why we also have this skill here, and this is the normal DPS setup for her, so nothing fancy. Next up is Anne, who was actually on my magic setup, so she doesn't really buff much for physicals anyway. She's wearing a Feather of Sacrifice just to increase our damage, and she's mainly here just for the heals and for the crit buff. Fancy needs it a bit, but Crow is actually kept without it. Going on, we have Zephyr. Now these are his stats. The PDEF is actually really low. I was using Roy before, and that's the gear he has inherited. Higher PDEF would be better. It scales a lot better. With Roy, I was trying to build around dodge. That's why you see 240 here. I can tell that it doesn't work. Dodge is just not a good stat here. I assume that the boss has accuracy because Roy wasn't really dodging all that much, even when he was like soft capped on it. So it was only his S2 keeping him alive during the Sandstorm skill. Having some P block and some P toughness runes made Zephyr live through these phases, and his shield kind of helps too. Again, I'm not sure if this works. It should be a 30% decrease of defense on everything it hits, which is everything because it's AoE. And I'm fairly certain that my my damage went up in proportion to that. So I would say it works, but the skill description suggests it doesn't. Now the other reasons why we have Zephyr, he has the Eagle Eye perk, which increases death penetration on everyone. This is mainly for Crow because Fancy should be close to capped anyway. And the Mortal Wound, which gives a 50% healed reduction debuff. So, and he has enough crit actually. He has 47, gets some from Anne. He has also this perk, so he should be critting often enough to keep this one up. And not, I mean, yeah, this one up. Okay, I'm clicking the wrong one. So this one, Mortal Wound up, and together with Pansy, the healing reduction is really helpful. Otherwise, the boss would just heal too fast. I think it was 20% or something on Pansirone's present one. Yeah. So this is 25%. Zephyr gives 50, so that's 75% heal reduction. That's not bad. Otherwise, if you were running a melee unit, you would need Solar Stone maybe. And now here we have Crow. He doesn't have too much health. We are using his UT4 because this makes his marks irremovable, which means that you can cast his S1 twice before the nuke phase. Otherwise, there would be no point because the boss just dispels them or cleanses them. If we were running UT3, it would look like that the moment the nuke phase starts, you have to cast S1 and then immediately S3. I am a bit far from the server, and due to latency, sometimes this didn't work and I died. The time is just about enough to cast 2 skills, but it's a lot easier if you just cast S1 before the nuke phase starts and then just nuke later. The damage is a lot higher too this way. Of course, the downside is that you see I have a 3-star unique treasure 3 and the 1-star unique treasure 4, and so he has a lot less health and is more likely to die in higher phases. This is his build. He has some penetration, just enough crit to be crit capped with his skill, with his perk, and basically that's how the fight goes. Other options you could have. First, you kind of need to decide who is gonna be your DPS, and this is important. I should have said this in the beginning actually, because I'm an idiot and didn't say it sooner. But you need to be aware how positioning works in the game. Let's just check, for instance, Urzi, who is an assassin, and here in her character sheet you can see that her position is middle. Meanwhile, say Lilia is back, and pretty much all the mechanics are middle position, and some of the well, archers can be middle or back, and I believe all the assassins are either front or middle. And the first thing that defines where a character will stand, who will be your tank, is their positioning. If you do not have a melee unit, then pretty much all of them are middle positioned or back, and whoever stands closest to the boss will be the tank. Now, there are some other factors here, which is attack range that you can't see on the character sheet. You need to go either on maskofgoblin.com or .net, maybe .com, where you can get the information, or if you have a Discord server with the bot enabled, then the Epis bot, I believe, can tell you what exactly the range is for the given character, because they only stand at their maximum range. And if the range of another character is shorter, then they will stand closer to the tank and become to the boss and become the tank. And finally, whoever stands closer is also determined by class, which means knight, warrior, assassin, archer, and then mechanic, and then wizard and priest. So this is the usual order, and this is important because at the same range you can never have, for instance, a mechanic stand in front of your archer, because they will always take over. I was trying to use Zafir as a DPS buffer before, and use Oddi as a tank, and it just didn't work because Zafir would always stand in front of Oddi. Normally, defense also matters if the range and the class is the same. For instance, between 2 warriors, then whoever has the highest defense will stand in front. But here, because everyone is ranged, such things as class and range really do matter. So this is something you need to keep an eye for. For instance, if you are running Urzi as a DPS here, who's just wearing some real random gear right now, then you will need an actual tank who is an assassin and at a shorter range. So either a melee unit, or I'm not quite sure if Miriam can stand in front of her. Perhaps. So for instance, you're using Urzi as your DPS would really limit your options in who can be your tank and who can be your buffers. Other options for DPS would be you can use Pansirone, of course. You can use Crow, who is really good. I think you can use Zafir because he can spam his skills, and at high unique weapon he does a lot of damage. So he probably works as a DPS. I haven't tried that one. You could also use Hanus. Yeah, Hanus is a pretty popular choice here. And you can combine 2 DPS, or you can go with 1 DPS and a lot of support units depending on what you have built and how you have built them. I've also seen a video where they use Rodina to burst the boss after the first knockdown. I said he doesn't take damage before the first. I guess this is just to make it so that Rodina can't actually kill him before the first nuke phase happens. But there, it's possible to use her to do that. Now, on the tanking front, I said if you use a melee unit, you can go with Roy or Nia, for instance, or I have also seen Cloudie be able to do this. But again, on higher levels, I recommend not to use a melee tank. It's better if you go with one of your support units. You can pick Miriam if you need her shields and if you need an assassin tank. Otherwise, you could go with Oddi. You could go with Miruru, who is also a great buffer. You can go with Zafir, as you have seen. Maybe even Anna, actually. She could be built to be a tank, I guess. So these are the main options. And then, of course, you need some buffs. So Oddi is a good buffer. Miruru is a good buffer. I guess Zafir works. I would say he works. But that needs some further testing. So these are the three options that you might want to consider. I don't think any of the magic mechanics can do this. Magic archer is not so much. And the problem with assassins like Cloudie would be really good here, I think. Although she is not quite pure AoE. But because she's melee, she can't really be used. I have tried it and she only really worked on like the first two stages and then she got just killed by the sandstorm. So yeah, this is basically it. I think I covered every skill and everything we have. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And again, wish you a happy new year. See you again soon. Cloudie out. Bye bye.